Hey wrestling fans, it's Shawn from the Scumbags of Wrestling. Have you checked out our latest t-shirt design? It's inspired by our friends over at London Comic Con. Nigel Lewis of NCL Studios came up with this amazing design of a comic book cover. It features 22 stars of the Ontario independent wrestling scene, including Cody Deaner, Jody Threat, Casey Spinelli, Tyson Dukes, Brent Banks, Tarek, Sebastian Suave, Halal Beefcake, graduates of the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory, and many more. You can get your t-shirt for just $30 or buy the poster for $15. Proceeds from this sale are going to go to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto on behalf of Steven's Wrestling Journey. Steven's an 8-year-old fighting Chiari malformation, and they're searching for a cure. You can contact me either through our Facebook page, Scumbags of Wrestling, or email me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com. Get yourself a great t-shirt with an amazing design and help a wonderful cause at the same time. So contact me today and get your shirt or poster.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what's going on, folks? It is another episode of the Fantasy Warfare Tournament, presented by Thursday Night Throwdown TNT, of course. My name is Chris Maloney, and yes, I am still that same guy, even though I kind of maybe shaved the beard, but anyways, you could probably recognize the voice. Shawn Bates is with us as well. The Scumbags of Wrestling. He's picture has gone off. Maybe he's deciding to grow a beard. I don't know, but we'll wait. Oh, there he is. He's back. And so, like I said, Shawn Bates of Scumbags of Wrestling. Steven O'Neil of Mr. Toronto, rocking the badass Jim Cornette shirt as I'm rocking the Kenny Omega shirt. Sean's rocking the just the basic, probably Old Navy shirt, or whatever you want to call it.
The Shrine to Cornette.
Oh, Jesus. It's been a little while. We took a kind of a break last week, just scheduling wise, but we're making it up for tonight. Shawn, Steven, how's your last couple of weeks been? And before we get started on the tournament, just let us know how things are with you guys.
Your mic's muted.
Things are good for me. And yeah, I was down in Windsor this past weekend and ready to tackle this 32-man tournament.
All right, and Steven, since Shawn had mentioned that the word 32, why don't you fill everybody in on what the tournament's going to entail tonight?
Well, normally we would have. The original plan was to do this over 2 weeks and then do the live, which still might be the thing for on Thursday Night Throwdown. But last week, our scheduling just didn't work for the three of us. So there is some interesting matchups. We are doing the Greatest Cruiserweights. There's some interesting matchups. There's one that's pretty easy to call now. I've already made some moved some people over based on who they're facing. But I'm quite excited to see how some of the older cruiserweights, the WCW era cruiserweights versus the today cruiserweights go, because they're all over the place.
Yeah, it's a huge bracket. So, guys, I'm just gonna go through the tournament itself, just who's in it, and then I'll mention some of the notables that didn't actually make it. And I mean, we thought about, hey, can we do more than 16 with this? And we could have probably done at least 48, if not the 64. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's going to be a long one here. I think we'll take a vote right now. I think we might as well just do the whole tournament this show. What do you guys think?
Yeah, why not?
All right, so both on board. So TNT will be normal tomorrow night. But guys, here's the tournament. So 32 of the best cruiserweights in the world. You can call them junior heavyweights, lightweights, whatever you want to call them. Rey Mysterio Jr. taking on Jerry Lynn first round. Billy Kidman taking on Dean Malenko. P.D. Williams taking on Ultimo Dragon. And I got to do this because I'm a huge Ultimo Dragon mark. We'll see how far he gets in the tournament. Paraguayo Sr. taking on Loki. So you'll see the seniors and juniors just to differentiate who we're talking about. AJ Styles taking on Naomichi Marufuji. Hurricane Helms taking on Will Ospreay. Chris Sabin taking on Taka Michinoku. Eddie Guerrero taking on TJP. Jay Lethal taking on Villano 3. Kenny Omega taking on Jushin Thunder Liger. I'm pretty sure Omega is fucked first round here. Prince Devitt taking on Kushida. Kenta taking on Psychosis. Tiger Mask 4 taking on Dragon Lee. Great Sasuke taking on Juventud Guerrera. Taiji Ishimori taking on Hiromu Takahashi, which is very interesting because it's actually taking place in New Japan right now. And the last match of the tournament itself is Chavo Guerrero Jr. Taking on Brian Pillman. Guys, just while I'm bringing up the notables, what are some of the toughest ones that you think are going to have to be decided on?
I don't know, that last match that you said about Chavo against Brian Pillman, that one is a little bit even when you look at some of the things that they are, and I thought that was a little bit difficult for me. There was a couple others that stand out. But Steven?
There's not one in the first round that actually I had trouble with. There are some good matchups, and we've seen some of these, and some I wish we could have seen, but I mean, the first round there wasn't anything that really slowed me down.
That's interesting. So some of the notables, like I said, so cruiserweights, we're going in between 165 and 227 as far as the weights go, and they are, the lightest guy is 165, the heaviest guy is 227. Some of the notables that we missed out on was El Dandy, sorry, the Brian Kendrick, X-Pac, Yoshihiro Tajiri, Christopher Daniels, Ace Austin Theory, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Zack Sabre Jr., Kota Ibushi, Alex Shelley, El Fantasmo, so ELP, Shinjiro Otani, Chris Jericho, Cedric Alexander, Austin Aries, Pegasus Kid, Ricochet, Super Calo, Super Crazy, Drew Gulak, Matt Sydal, and the Dynamite Kid, who wasn't 227 but was 228. So, I mean, like I said, we could have easily gone a 64-man tournament for this one, but we've got a big August coming up as far as the tag teams go. So we'll do it at 32 tonight, and then we'll see how long this takes. But I think we're in for a little bit of a marathon. Sean, what's your order? Are you first pick? I don't want to mess this up on you.
Yeah, I got Rey Mysterio against Jerry Lynn, Mr. JL. So just looking at some of the stats with Rey Mysterio, he was born in 1974, debuted in 1989. His weight is 175 pounds. He worked for AAA, ECW, WCW, WWE, and CMLL. He was in the match that Paraguayo Jr. died in, unfortunately, and he's part of the AAA Hall of Fame. Number 4 PWI 500 in 1999. Number 56 in PWI 2003. So then when you look at some of his titles, he's held the AAA Mexican welterweight title once, the Hollywood heavyweight wrestling light heavyweight championship once, WCW Cruiserweight Championship 5 times, the Cruiserweight Tag Team titles in their short existence, but he held that once, World Wrestling Association Light Heavyweight title 3 times, World Wrestling Council Junior Heavyweight title 1 time, WWE Cruiserweight Championship 3 times. Plus then, after he got out of the light heavyweight sort of area, he's been WWE Champion twice, World Champion twice, WWE Champion once, IC Champion twice, WWE Tag 4 times, U.S. Champion 2 times, Royal Rumble winner in 2006, and he also held the NWA welterweight title 3 times. So that's a lot of titles for Rey Mysterio, and he's still going strong. There's a lot of question whether or not he signed a contract. We might find out with whatever happens this week on Monday Night Raw. and going forwards. But he's taking on Jerry Lynn. We know Jerry Lynn's now working behind the scenes for AEW, but he was born in 1963, debuted in 88, retired in 2013, and he was 220 pounds. He's worked for WCW, ECW, WWF, TNA, Ring of Honor, Global Wrestling Force, or Global Wrestling Federation, and as I said, he's a coach in AEW. He had Comeback of the Year for PWI in 2009, Most Improved in 99, number 29 in PWI 2003, and 201 in PWI years in 2003 as well, when they did a separate list. As for titles, he won the Global Federation Light Heavyweight title once, Pro Wrestling America Light Heavyweight title 3 times, WWF Light Heavyweight title once, and then he's been TNA NWA Tag Team Champion twice, X Division Champion twice, Ring of Honor World, Pro Wrestling America Heavyweight Champion once, and ECW World Champion. So another guy with a lot of legacy. First time I saw him was when he was Mr. JL under the mask, and then finally when he unmasked in ECW and stuff like that. Just comparing these two for me was a little bit difficult, but I got to go with Rey Mysterio for sure because he's still going strong. You never know what he might get even in 2 months. He's still, and he has a son that's starting up. So for me, I'm going Rey Mysterio.
All right, Steven, you're up.
So like Shawn said, Jerry Lynn has a multitude of world light heavyweight champions or cruiserweight champions, but he just never really did it on the big stage when WCW had the prominent cruiserweight division. Rey Mysterio, you said 5-time WCW cruiserweight champion. He was preeminent in that whole cruiserweight division. I remember matches with him versus in the next match, Dean Malenko, Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis, Chavo Jr. It goes on and on. So Rey Mysterio's got my vote, and he'll be moving on. But what about you, Chris?
So I'm a mark for probably about 5 of the guys in this tournament. Rey Mysterio is one of them. I'll tell you this, though. So I remember back in the Monday Night Wars when it was WCW versus WWE, and all of a sudden the Cruiserweights would come on. I fucking hated them. I mean, to me, it was why are these guys kicking the butts of the WWE? And I was a loyal WWE fan. But the fact is, the more you watch it, and that crew of guys that they had, the Eddie Guerreros, the Rey Mysterios, the Juventud Guerreros, the Psychosis, the Dean Malenkos, the Chris Jerichos, if I didn't mention him already, that group of guys, no matter what night, could steal the show. And it didn't matter if it was WCW Nitro, or it didn't matter if it was one of the pay-per-views. Rey against Malenko, Rey against friggin' Chris Jericho. The fact is, that's just one of the things. Is the fact is he sold me as a talent, and for what he's gone through. I mean, the fact is, I remember one of the probably about 5-6 years ago, he was fat. I mean, he got in the ring, he wasn't the same Rey Mysterio, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's now 2020, and with the fact is, we're seeing them still in the ring. The thing is, he's legacy, longevity, the Mysterio name behind it, and all his association with Eddie and Chavo, obviously. The fact is, Mysterio to me, hands down, moves on. The fact is, though, Jerry Lynn, and I think, Steven, you had said this, didn't accomplish anything on the big stage. You know what I mean? As talented as he was, and he's still gifted. He's backstage agent right now for AEW. Given his insight to the younger guys and stuff like that. But the fact is, putting him up against Rey Mysterio, it was a hands down Rey Mysterio 3-0. So there we go. First 3-0 over the tournament, guys. We go on to the next match. Billy Kidman, Dean Malenko, 2 other WCW guys. Steven, you're up first.
So we've got Billy Kidman, born May 11th, 1974. He was trained by Alpha as part of the Wild Samoans. This is weird. I didn't realize he started September 11th, 1994, which I didn't realize he would have started that long ago. He formed a tag team right away with Ace Darling, known as the Shooting Stars. First big break was in WCW as part of the Flock. And then, obviously, in the Cruiserweight division, he became very popular, always in the Cruiserweight title picture. Then he went to the Filthy Animals. He then ended up in WCW or WWE as part of After the Purchase. Cruiserweight titles, teamed with Paul London. Then he went on to the independent circuit. Now he, I believe, is a agent behind the scene with WWE, I believe.
One of the only guys who didn't get put on notice.
Yeah, and he was PWI number 31, best 500 single wrestlers in the year 1990. He three-time WCW Cruiserweight title, one-time WCW Cruiserweight title with Rey Mysterio, two-time WCW Tag Team Champion, World Series Wrestling Heavyweight Champ, WCW, WWEF, four-time Cruiserweight Champ, one-time WWE Tag Team Champ, and then you got Dean Malenko, which I'm a huge mark for, so this should tell you where we're going here with my vote. Born August 4th, 1960. He wrestled from 1979 to 1994 in Florida. First gimmick in WCW was the Shooter. He then formed Triple Threat, and he feuded with Eddie Guerrero. Other members of Triple Threat were Shane Douglas and a guy that we don't mention anymore because he's been erased from the history. Then he went to WCW, and obviously mainstay in WCW in the Cruiserweight division. Then he became a Four Horseman and part of the Revolution. Then it ended up in WWE as part of the Radicals and with the light heavyweight division. He retired 2001, and then in around May, he became them as he joined AEW as part of a senior producer. Malenko, two-time WCW television champ, television champ, one-time tag team champ, ICWWA light heavyweight champion once, ranked number one in the top 500 singles wrestlers in 1997, ranked 161 of top 500 in the years in 2003, WCW Cruiserweight champ 4 times, WCW United States heavyweight champ 1 time, WCW tag team champ 1 time, 2-time light heavyweight champion. He's got to be probably the best technical wrestler there was when it came to the cruiserweights. And this is why he's getting my vote, not just because he was a horseman, but Dean Malenko. He's just way too good of a technical wrestler. I think his career was better than Billy Kidman.
All right, so Shawn, your vote's not going to matter. Malenko moves on in this one. I hate saying this, but I mean, Malenko was part of that pact as far as the WCW Cruiserweights went, where it's kind of like, again, I repeat, how are these guys beating the WWE back in the day? But the fact is, Malenko was one of those guys that grew on me as well. And then all of a sudden, when he made that transition, when he made that jump to WWE as part of the Radicals, without that, I don't think WWE would have been as successful. You know what I mean? The fact is, the Eddie Guerrero matches, the Chris, Benoit matches, so to speak. But the fact is, Malenko was one of those intricate guys that were part of that package that made WWE better than they probably should have been back then. But long story short, to me, Kidman, I could never, as much as the guy was talented and the transformation from when he first started to what he became, I could never see him anything more than an X-Pac ripoff, a 1, 2, 3 Kid ripoff, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, as much talent as he had, but the fact is, when he got to WWE, after the invasion and everything else, they buried him. I think actually against X-Pac. So fact is, Malenko, Billy Kidman, hands down Malenko. So Shawn, you're up.
Yeah, with this one, I do like Billy Kidman, and you know, listening to Bruce Pritchard and Connor Thompson, when they reference Billy, they always call him the biggest overachiever since he ended up getting together with Tori Wilson and marrying her, and to be still working for WWE behind the scenes and timing out the matches shows that he has a mind for the business. But we're talking about Dean Malenko. He had such a great career. Minus the whole ladies' man thing with Lita that WWE had him do. But he had that battle royal that he was under a mask and then took it off, thinking Jericho, because Jericho was trying to get rid of Dean, but he won the number one contendership. And that was a huge storyline for the Cruiserweights. Outshone even some of the stuff that the guys that were doing the main events were having. So guys like Dean Malenko, as we said, were having the best matches of the night on WCW for you to tune in, and you kept your spotlight there or watching WCW because you wanted to know what Hall and Nash were going to do. But you weren't going there to watch their matches. You were going for the Cruiserweight match. So I'm picking Dean as well. Another 3-0.
So I don't know what's more interesting. The fact is, I get Ultimo Dragon up next, or the fact is we got Malenko versus Rey Mysterio second round. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal right there. Sean, are you drinking a White Claw?
Yes, I am.
So props to AEW. Tony Khan's.
Get through this.
I was gonna say Tony Khan's favorite beverage. Apparently, I had one earlier, so I got none left. But they have this thing in Canada for anybody who ever watches international. It's called Mike's 0 Gram, which is very comparable to White Claw. I love the White Claw, the lime ones. I can never seem to get them though. I think you got the cherry one going on, eh?
Yeah, the black cherry.
Yeah, so those are tasty as well. But guys, like I said, next round we have got Petey Williams, Canadian against, Ultimo Dragon. Fact is, I am a mark for Ultimo Dragon. Sean saw that in person last summer. We went to Franklin Horner Community Center for Smash. I think, what was the tournament called? The Northern?
The Northern, yeah.
And Ultimo was part of that as a special attraction. And man, I got there. Very humble, very nice guy. And a short story is this. He basically, when he was walking, didn't look like he could do much at all. Like he was basically looked like he was almost on the verge of being in a wheelchair. And next thing you know, he gets in the ring and he fought M-Dog Matt Cross, and just phenomenal guy. But guys, I will do this. I will list his accomplishments. So the fact is, like I said, I saw him last year wrestling, okay, and he wrestled 2 nights in a row. He is age 53 years old. His debut was back in 1987. And as far as his championships go, so All Japan Pro Wrestling, Michinoku Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, basically WCW, WWE. He should have been, Cruiserweight champion, but he wasn't. But the fact is, all of those promotions I just mentioned, he was their junior or their light heavyweight champion. The guy is also what's known as a J Crown Octuple Unified Championship winner, which means he held 8 different belts on one occasion. So fact is, if you go back to the WCW Nitro library on the WWE Network, you can see him, and there's the famous picture of him holding all the belts, and Sonny Ono used to come out with him and do that with. But guys, there's legends in this business. Unfortunately, Omega is facing one of them. Rey Mysterio, to me, is one of them, and Ultimo Dragon is one of them as well. So it's going to be we could end up seeing Ultimo Dragon versus Rey Mysterio 3rd round, and that I just might have to, say see you later. I'm not doing this show anymore, because that's like Okada and fucking Omega all over again. But anyways, long story short, Dragon is one of the best, if not the best. So yeah, Dragon's got my vote for sure. So curious, and not to say Petey Williams isn't talented, because the fact is Williams, trained by Scott D'Amore, has had the ability to transition his characters through Team Canada, and Mini, Papa Pump, everything else. But fact is, going up against Ultimo Dragon, yeah, forget about it. So Sean, you're up.
Yeah, another person with a bad luck of the draw. As you said, meeting him in person was really cool. I know Trevor from the Wrestling Nerds, he asked me to get a picture and autograph of him, so I was able to get that. Took your photo with him in the ring, and totally impressed me compared to what we saw outside the ring, and he still has it. So yeah, for my case, Dragon is getting my vote.
All right, Steven, 3-0.
Is there even a question here? I love Petey Williams. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure I put him in this tournament, or he was on my short list. He drew Ultimate Dragon. Sorry, Petey. You there's not much. You draw a lot of other people. You have my vote, but unfortunately, you're facing probably one of the top 3 cruiserweight, light heavyweight in ever. So it's another 3-0.
Yeah, so guys, I know you can't see the picture in its entirety, but the fact is, picture behind us right now is the one I took. I think Ultimate Dragon's first match at the Northern Tournament last year, but the fact is, yeah, I marked out heavy. And my birthday was the next day, so it was like happy birthday to me last year. But Shawn, you're up next, and I think you had put this guy in the tournament, Perry Aguayo Sr. taking on Low-Ki. Interesting here because you look at the historic aspect of Perry Aguayo Sr. against the transitional Low-Ki, who's been basically everywhere, I think, with the exception of WWE. But it'd be interesting to see where you go with this.
No, he was in WWE.
Low-Ki was?
Yeah, he was.
As who?
Cabal?
As who?
Cabal.
Oh, yeah. Name change. Okay, so yeah, it's like an Austin Aries thing. It's kind of a memory that's forgettable, but I remember Low-Ki from his Impact days as well as his MLW days. But like I said, I'm interested to see old versus new here, Shawn.
Yeah, well, as you're saying, Paraguay Senior, we're going with. I mentioned his son. Unfortunately, I don't think he's in this tournament, but he passed away in that match with Ray. But Senior was born in 1946. He died in 2019. And he started in 1968, retired in 2001. His weight was 216 pounds, and he worked for Universal Wrestling Association, AAA. He worked the Royal Rumble in 1997, and he was also in the AAA Hall of Fame induction in 2012. He's won the NWA Middleweight Championship 3 times, the UWA Light Heavyweight title 1 time, the UWA Light Heavyweight a second time. Somehow I missed that. UWA World Junior Light Heavyweight 2 times. WWF Light Heavyweight Championship 7 times. People don't realize that title actually existed before they brought it back and did that tournament with Taka Michinoku winning it. But they did have a light heavyweight title, but it got sort of lost over in the Japan area. But he held it 7 times. And the World Wrestling Council World Junior Heavyweight Championship 1 time. Of course, he probably held a whole lot of other titles, tag teams, and different ones along the way. But I just focused on his light heavyweight influence that he had. And so with Low-Ki, born in 1979, debuted in 98, and he weighs 174 pounds. He's worked Florida Championship Wrestling, MLW, Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, as he was the winner of Season 2 of NXT when it was a season show, and he worked for WXW. He ranked number 26 in the PWI 500 in 2003. He's won the TNA Impact X Division title 5 times. The NXT Season 2 winner, as I said, as Caval. I believe his mentors for that were Lay Cool. He's 1-time Jersey All-Pro Wrestling Light Heavyweight Champion, 3-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Ring of Honor World Champion 1 time, and WXW Cruiserweight title 1 time. Now, one of the reasons why I put Paraguayo in here was also the fact that he had one of the longest title reigns ever when you combine his time holding the title. And that's why, for me, I'm going Paraguayo Sr. To advance, and we'll see how you guys decide whether he stays or goes. Steven?
Well, I'm going Paraguayo Sr. because Loki's an idiot. Next.
That's it? Just short and sweet?
Yeah, he doesn't believe this virus is a thing, so I can't even justify talking about him. So,
All right, so Steven's referring to his real life comments, I think, on Twitter there. But guys, I got to go Aguayo Senior as well. So another 3-0. Reason for it, because don't get me wrong, low key, and I forgot all about the Caval thing, and I was reading up on that. And Caval was actually tag team champion for Florida Championship Wrestling with Mike McGillicuddy, who everyone knows as Mr. Perfect's son there. But fact is, when it comes down to it, low key has been all over the world, but he hasn't stayed in one promotion for enough time to be successful. His biggest thing to me was Impact Wrestling, and when he was in Impact, he had a group of guys that were beyond talented. I mean, Christopher Daniels, Chris Sabin, AJ Styles, Elix Skipper even, you know what I mean? So he had a group of guys to work with. On his own, though, and he, he's one of those guys that's got a little bit of attitude problems outside of the ring, where Paraguayo Sr. is a legend, you know what I mean? And you put up a legend against basically a hothead, and when it comes down to it, I got to choose the legend. So that's all it came down to. So again, it's interesting because we've gone, how many have 1, 2, 3, 4, and all 3-0s right now. So I'm curious about this next one because I don't think we're going to go 3-0. I'm a Japan mark, and he's Naomichi Marufuji. Try to pronounce that 10 times fast. Taking on the one and only phenomenal AJ Styles. Steven, I'm curious, where are you going to go with this?
So Marufuji, born September 26, 1979. He's wrestled in New Japan, All Japan, Ring of Honor, Pro Wrestling Noah right now. He's currently the vice president of Pro Wrestling Noah. All Japan, he started in 1998. And then he went over to Pro Wrestling Noah in 2000 through currently. He's wrestled, and then he went back to New Japan. Then he went to ROH, and then he returned to All Japan. He's won All Japan World Junior Heavyweight one time. He was hurt. I couldn't find if he won it, but the Super J Cup in 2004. He's an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion one time. I know he did win the Super J Cup in 2009. Ranked 27th in Top 500 in 2007. Pro Wrestling Noah, Heavyweight Champion 3 times, Tag Team Champion 7 times. He currently still is. 1-time Junior Heavyweight Champion, 2-time Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion, 1-time Openweight. He's won a whole bunch of different tournaments. And then you've got the phenomenal AJ Styles. Born June 2nd, 1977. He's wrestled everywhere, all over the world. WCW, TNA, ROH, New Japan, WWE. He basically, if it wasn't for him, Impact would not have a X division. He was the face of the X division at the time. I mean, I'm just trying to find it. He's won 3-time NWA Heavyweight Champ, 4-time NW Tag Team Champ, this Global Legends title 2 times, TNA Heavyweight Champ 2 times, TNA World Tag Team Champ 2 times, X Division 6 times. He was the first Triple Crown winner, first TNA Grand Slam. He's won multiple awards there. PWI had him in the Match of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Most Popular, Wrestler of the Year. He won multiple awards. He won ROH Peer Champion 1 time, Tag Team Champion 1 time. He's one of the best. World WWA International Cruiserweight Champion. If we're talking one of the greatest cruiserweight lightweights, AJ Styles has got to be in the top 10, so I'm going AJ Styles.
All right, so Steven listed all the accomplishments. I've got to go Naomichi Marufuji simply because of the fact I was a mark for him probably about 15 years ago when I rediscovered Japan wrestling. Obviously, it was Noah. It wasn't All Japan or New Japan, but it was Pro Wrestling Noah. If he's the only vote that he gets is this one here, it is what it is. But it's hard because you basically got two guys, one that's from Japan, one that's from North America, who have realistically had parallel careers. I mean, they both started in the juniors, worked their way up to the main events, worked their way up to the heavyweight championships. Difference is, though, you've got Naomichi Marufuji, who is now an executive vice president of a company called Cyberfight, which is set to debut on September 1st, which we'll talk more about on TNT, as Steven leaves. But the fact is, you've got Pro Wrestling Noah, and Shawn, I think you heard this because you're shaking your head, forming a merger with DDT, and they're saying they're going to be separate entities, but it'll be interesting. So I got to go Naomichi Marufuji. Steven, I don't know if he probably caught that news, but he'll find out on Thursday for sure. But yes, Marufuji for me, Styles for Steven, and Shawn, you're up. Who's the tiebreaker here?
Yeah, I was going to mention about that merger when Steven was talking about Pro Wrestling Noah and basically how that's changing stuff over there with DDT. But yeah, just listening to all their accomplishments, I've seen AJ Styles, and from going from nobody in WCW as part of Air Force or Airstrike, whatever it was, the tag team that competed briefly for the light heavyweight or cruiserweight tag team titles, and not really getting picked up by WWE, and allowed him to go to TNA and become the star that he has become, that WWE then did want him. I gotta go with AJ Styles.
Yeah, see, I can't argue that, but I did have to go the other way. Steven, as you're back, did you hear about that?
Yeah, no.
Cyber Fight coming September 1st.
Oh, fuck. That Thursday. That disappoints me.
Yeah, so anyways, AJ Styles moves on 2-1. Naomichi Marufuji is out. I've got the next one, which is fairly simple for me, but I will go and list the stats. So you've got Hurricane Helms or Shane Helms, or what do we officially call him, Hurricane Helms in this one?
Yep.
So that would be his WWE persona. But when the fact is, when it comes down to it, he made guy. What's that?
It's the same guy we're talking about.
Yeah, same guy, but complete differences in contrasting characters. It's like you were talking about AJ Styles when he first started with WCW. Hurricane was one of those guys who started with the Hardy Boys when, way back in the day. He's very good friends with them. Early career, 1991, 1999. World Championship Wrestling, 99 to 2001. As far as his championships go, a lot of kind of territorial championships. When it comes right down to it, though, when you talk about WCW, Hardcore Champion one time, Cruiserweight Champion one time, and then when you get into the WWE, it's Cruiserweight Champion twice. Right now, Hurricane is, just trying to find his age, 46 years old. So huge contrast between the two as far as age differences go. He's taken on Will Ospreay. Ospreay, to me, is one of those guys that the future is ahead of him, provided he can keep his head in check. And now a lot of social media stuff went on, a good probably 3 to 4 weeks ago. Fact is, it doesn't take away his talent inside the ring. He's one of the best. He's getting better. He's about to move up to the heavyweight division, but the fact is he hasn't gotten there yet. Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Most Outstanding Wrestler 2019, Pro Wrestling Match of the Year 2019 Wrestling Observer Newsletter as well against Shingo Takagi. Then you've got all his accomplishments as far as North America as well as UK goes. World Television Champion for ROH. Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranked number 10 of the 500 singles wrestlers in PWI 500 in 2019. Then you go up to his New Japan stuff. And the guy is only 27 years old, but IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion had 3 times, never Openweight Champion 1 time, and one of the best of the Super Juniors 2016 and 2019. Like I said, 27 years old, the guy has got the future, the world ahead of him. The fact is, Jericho, I listened to him past Saturday night, and the fact is he said Ospreay's on that short list of guys he still wants to face. I mean, he's getting talked about throughout the juniors as well as legends like Jericho. So fact is, luck of the draw. Sorry, Hurricane, but you're out. As far as I'm concerned, Ospreay moves on for me. Shawn, Steven, curious of what you guys are going to say.
Well, in my case, I selected Hurricane to be in this. I was even going to try to reach out to him to be part of the show had we been able to figure out a schedule a little bit better to not be last minute notice and see what somebody who we considered in the top 32 or at least 64 to be in this, what he would think about the competition as well. And like, I've been a huge fan of Shane, even if he was part of, Shane Helms, if he was part of 3 Count, and even worse when they added the MMA guy. I can't even remember his name.
Tank Abbott.
Tank Abbott. It was just so bad to forget about it with the 3 circles on there. Everybody hates Evan Courageous, and we saw Shannon Moore go to WWE. But yeah, I picked Helms over Ospreay because Ospreay still has a lot of room to grow, and he's definitely going to be in the top conversation 2 years from now. Who knows? But yeah, I was picking Helms. So throwing a I guess pity vote, just like Chris did for Marufuji.
Well, it's interesting though because Steven's got that Jim Cornette thing going on, so it's I'm interested to see what he has. But I know he likes New Japan Pro Wrestling, so I'm interested. Steven, you're the tiebreaker though.
Do you think I would vote for a guy who wore a fucking mask and called himself Hurricane Helms? Not a chance. There was no way. Ultima's Dragon's different. Hurricane Helms was a comedy guy after he started WCW. His run, he was great because he was Gregory Helms or Shane Helms. It was great. Then he became a comedy guy. Then he went to WWE, became a comedy guy. No, thank you. Will Ospreay, he's got so many years ahead of him if he keeps his head out of his ass. But he is probably one of the greatest cruiserweight light heavyweights around right now. So Will Ospreay has my vote going forward.
All right, so we're second, 2, and 1 in a row. Next up, we've got Chris Sabin taking on Taka Michinoku. It'll be interesting because Taka, I don't think fully was realized here in North America as far as his potential goes. And here we got a guy like Chris Sabin still wrestling currently as champion in 2020. So, Sean, you're up.
Yeah, so as you just said, Chris Sabin is still wrestling. He just showed up in Impact and reformed the Motor City Machine Guns, picked up the tag team titles from the North. He was born in 82, debuted in 2000, so he has a 20-year career on his hands and is weighing about 205 pounds. He's worked for BCW, Border City Wrestling here in Canada, TNA, and ROH primarily. He's an 11-time TNA champion, including 8 X Division titles. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. Blue Water Championship Wrestling Cruiserweight Champ 1 time. Great Lakes All-Pro Wrestling Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. Maryland Championship Wrestling Cruiserweight Champ 2 times. Maximum Pro Wrestling Cruiserweight Champion 2 times. He was Tag Team of the Year in 2010 with Motor City Machine Guns and number 28 in PWI 500 in 2007. Over to Taka Michinoku, born in 1973, debuted in 92 and weighs about 187 pounds. He's worked for FMW, WWF, All Japan, DDT Pro, Michinoku Pro. Obviously, it's on its own organization. And he was the first WWF light heavyweight champion when they resurrected that title and brought it back to North America. Pro Wrestling Noah Tag Champion 1 time. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions twice. Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. Former martial art wrestling welterweight heavyweight champion 2 times, and All Japan Junior Heavyweight 1 time. So a lot of Taka's career has been centered in Japan, where Chris Sabin, I believe, has traveled a little bit more extensively. But for me, I'm going with Taka Michinoku picking up this victory and seeing if he can advance to the next round. Steven?
I'm actually going Chris Sabin. He at one point carried the X Division. he's wrestled over in Japan. He was, I believe, an IWGP Junior Heavyweight champion. Junior Heavyweight tag team with Alex Shelley. I just think he had the better career. I've obviously seen a lot more of Chris Sabin. He's hampered now with not being as mobile, but I'm going Chris Sabin. I think he just had the better career as a cruiserweight, light heavyweight.
So again, we go into Mark territory here. Chris Sabin, Mark for Chris Sabin. Interesting the fact that he, due to injuries and everything else, and I think Steven, you and I discussed this, I think, in the last TNT, as far as just him slowing down, to the point he was retired, and then next thing you know, when I was watching Slammiversary, I was like, holy shit, he's actually back, and then all of a sudden, I was like, I wonder if this is a one-off, it's going to lead to something, and then all of a sudden, they end up winning the Impact Tag Team Championship. So, the guy, absolutely phenomenal. I've had the honor of getting to spend a whole bunch of hours with Chris Sabin, getting, the ability to drive him here from London, Ontario to Collingwood and back for a show way back in the mid-2000s. Outside of the ring, one of the most humble, nicest guys you could ever meet. Tell you this, he's got as being as shape as he is, he went nuts over getting a Cadbury McFlurry and Smarties, because apparently states don't have Smarties. So I watched him at a convenience store go nuts with about $20 worth of Smarties and snacks and everything else for stuff he couldn't get down the States. But like I said, one of the most nicest, humble guys you'll ever meet outside of the ring. But inside the ring, I'll never forget watching the main event I saw that night, as well as every aspect of ROH, as the Motor City Machine Guns with Alex Shelley, any of the Impact X Division matches or the Ultimate X matches. And again, when it comes down to Sabin, the fact is he's gifted as far as longevity goes. And I know he's not as quick as he used to be, but the fact is, he's one of those guys. As far as Taka goes, I don't think he ever made, like I said, he was never that big over here in North America. And the fact is, when Vince got his hands on him, I think if he had gone to WCW, it would have been a different story. But unfortunately, luck of the draw again, so Chris Sabin moves on 2-1. So Steven, you're up next. Eddie Guerrero, TJP.
Well, TJP was born September 3rd, 1984. He was just kind of there. And then I saw him wrestle in Smash, and, well, it changed my opinion of him. Then there's Eddie Guerrero, born in October 9th, 1967, and then unfortunately passed November 13th, 2005. Early, obviously, he wrestled in and around Mexico and Texas. One of, I don't even know how many Guerreros have been in the business, but I'm going to guess there's high to mid-20s. His biggest break, the big break that brought him to North America was in ECW in 1995. He wrestled for New Japan between 93 and 96. 95, he was in ECW. WCW started in, off and on between 89 and 95. I mean, he started the LWO, and then he went over to WWE as part of the Radicals. Left WCW or WWE 2001, 2002. He came back in 2002 to 2005 as part of Los Guerreros with Chavo. He became world champion. I think the feud that really put him on the map was with JBL. I think that set him apart. He's a two-time ECW television champ. He won the Best of the Super Juniors 3 in 1996. Junior Heavyweight Super Grade Tag League in 96. Cruiserweight champ 2 time in WCW. United States champ 1 time. World Wrestling All-Stars Cruiserweight champ 1 time. He's won trios champions in the World Wrestling Association, welterweight champion, 1-time WWE World champion, 2-time European, 1-time United States, 2-time WWF, WWE Intercontinental, 4-time tag champs. Was inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2006. He's the 11th Triple Crown champion, 6th Grand Slam champion. Eddie Guerrero was, if you look back at WCW during the height of the Cruiserweights, he stole the show a lot of the time with Mysterio, Malenko, the one that we don't talk about. Yes, we all know who it is, but we don't talk about. I'm in my head, I've pictured him wrestling Ultimo Dragon, but I know I've seen him against Psychosis, Juventud Guerrero. There's just so many. To me, this is a no-brainer. It's Eddie Guerrero.
All right, Shawn, your vote will not matter. But again, Eddie's one of those guys that had to sell me on his wrestling gimmick when I first saw him on WCW. He came out with that white and red singlet. He had a mullet going on, but it wasn't that long-haired mullet that he had going on like the 1996-97 era. It was kind of like that fluffy mullet, and I was like, oh man, who the hell is this guy? He's fucking boring. And the next thing you know, you continuously watch him, and you watch the character transform into the LWO, into his feuds with Chris Benoit. I'll say his name for who he was as a wrestler, not who he was outside of the ring, asshole. But the fact is, when it comes down to it, when you think about Eddie Guerrero, it's Eddie Guerrero. It's a lot of those guys are just, to me, legends as far as the cruiserweights go, and he is one of them as far as North America goes. So Eddie Guerrero 2-0. Shawn, is it number 3-0?
It is 3-0. Even though I got a picture with TJP after his match here in London at Smash, wasn't enough to get a vote in this one. Eddie Guerrero, just a legend gone too soon.
Yeah, and I will say this, and Steven, I don't know your thoughts on TJP, but I'll tell you this. TJP, one of the nicest guys I think I've met at a Smash show. As far as in the ring, he didn't seem like he cared too much in the beginning of the match. I'll remember that, but then all of a sudden throughout the match, he went, I think who was he fighting? Sebastian Suave that night, I think it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then during the intermission, just watching him intermingle with myself, kids, older guys, Daniel even, you know what I mean? He was a very super nice guy, very chill, very humble, I guess.
Super nice guy outside the ring, but it literally looked like he didn't care to be at Smash, and that turned me off.
Okay, so yeah. So anyways, TJP is gone out of the tournament. Next match is a little bit of a toughie for me because you got the old versus new. But you've got old as in Villano 3. And here's a guy who basically debuted in 1970, didn't officially retire until 2015, 45 years later. Look at his list of accomplishments. You've got AAA, he's in the Hall of Fame class of 2018, and then you've got CMLL, who's the World Light Heavyweight Championship one time there. You go down, PWI at one point ranked him number 64. Okay, number 64 in 2001, and like I said, the guy debuted in 1970. He wrestled for the World Wrestling Council, Wrestling Observer Newsletter. Take it as it is, but he had the match of the year in 2000. Interesting enough, he had the worst match of the year in 2015, but it is interesting. Then you've got Jay Lethal, who to me is always going to scream ROH. But then when you look at his list of accomplishments as far as every championship he has won, he's won championships all over the place. And as far as ROH goes, he's pretty much the Grand Slam, I know there's another name, I'm slipping my mind right now, but the fact is he's done it all in ROH. And then you look down to TNA, so Impact Wrestling, World Tag Team Champion, then X Division Champion 6 times. So he accomplished quite a bit over there as well. Well, Jay Lethal officially debuted. He's got you go through Wikipedia, he's a long history behind him. Officially debuted in 2001 and is still continuously going strong today. So 19-year career versus 45-year career. It's a toughie, but I'm an ROH fan, so I've got to, as much as Villano 3, and I hate saying this, but he was, as much as everybody loved the Cruiserweights in WCW, he was one of the outcasts. He was like one of the El Dandies, so to speak, one of the super callows at times. So I think his legacy was tarnished because of that stuff. He wasn't in that A group. He was part of the B group, so to speak. So I've got to go, like I said, Jay Lethal with this one. So 1-0. Shawn, you're up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, he was one of the jobbers of the WCW Cruiserweight. But when you look back at everything that he's accomplished and having a 45-year career, that's hard to dispute. Even putting up against a 19-year-old career of Jay Lethal, everything he's accomplished. I'm going to throw a vote towards Viano 3.
Steven, tie breaks, something I thought wouldn't go to a tiebreaker, so interesting.
Well, I'm going with Jay Lethal because I only saw Viano 3 as a jobber. He never made that jump in WCW. He never stood out from the cruiserweights at that time. He always was the one who would lose or was getting jobbed out. So it's Jay Lethal.
So, next match goes to Shawn first, and I've just got some breaking news here that Jushin Thunder Liger can no longer compete in this tournament because of the fact he's officially retired at this point. So.
Yeah,
But,
I think a lot of the people in this tournament are retired, so yeah, even though there's a lot
yeah, but hold on, he's also fighting a Canadian, though. That should matter.
So some extra bonus points you're hoping for.
Yeah, I did.
Well,
you know what? Hey, hold on. I'll do this, okay? And to anybody listening on audio, I apologize because you won't be able to see this, but to anybody watching us right now, this is what I thought about this match, right here. Okay, hashtag Omega gets or equals fucked. That's 2 tournaments in a row. Last time it was Okada. This time Jushin Thunder Liger in a World Cruiserweight friggin' tournament. So that are my. I'm voting Omega, so I'm putting my vote up right now. So it's between you guys. So, and Steven, I know where your vote is, but I'm curious to hear what you got to say. So Shawn, you're essentially the tiebreaker.
Okay, well, Kenny Omega, Canadian, born in 1983, debuted in 2000, weighs 203 pounds, has worked for AAA, New Japan, Deep South Wrestling, Jersey All-Pro, ROH, DDT Pro, and PWG. He was number 1 in PWI 500 in 2018, Match of the Year in 2017 and 18, and Feud of the Year in 2017. Titles. A 4-front junior heavyweight champion 1 time. All Japan junior heavyweight 1 time. Jersey All-Pro light heavyweight 1 time. IWGP junior heavyweight 2 times. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag 1 time. Other accomplishments include the IWGP Heavyweight Championship 1 time. IWGP IC title 1 time. IWGP US 1 time. Never open weight champion 2 times. Tag team champion, 6-man tag team champions with the Young Bucks 2 times. And of course, he's the current tag team champion with Hangman Page in AEW. And then we have Jushin Thunder Liger. Born 1964, debuted in 84, retired January of this year, 2020, weighing 209 pounds. He's worked for New Japan, All Star Wrestling, Stampede, WWF, surprisingly enough. People won't know they worked a match in 1990, then against Tyler Breeze in 2015, and was supposed to be inducted into 2020 Hall of Fame this year had they been able to hold it. He's worked for WCW, Ring of Honor, TNA, and CMLL. Number 8 in PWI 500 in 2000. Number 12 in the PWI 500 in 2003. Titles. All-Star World Heavyweight Middleweight Champion in 2 times. CMLL World Middleweight 1 time. Jersey All-Pro Light Heavyweight 1 time. Michinoku Pro British Commonwealth Junior Heavyweight Champion 2 times. NWA World Junior Heavyweight 2 times. IWGP Junior Heavyweight 11 times. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag 6 times. NWA Welterweight title 1 time. UWA World Junior Light Heavyweight Championship 1 time. WWA World Junior Light Heavyweight 1 time. WWF Light Heavyweight 1 time. Pro Wrestling Noah Junior Heavyweight 1 time and Junior Tag Team 1 time. And a WCW Light Heavyweight Championship 1 time. Is there really any doubt that Jushin Thunder Liger gets a vote in this over Kenny Omega? Canadian or not, his career speaks for itself. Kenny's career is currently speaking for itself, unfortunately, and Steven will follow up with that in his vote.
You mean jazz hands? Yeah, let's just say this was very easy, and Liger's moving on.
So I will officially say this: 2-1 vote. It wasn't a 3-0. So, but I mean, again, luck of the draw. Fucking Liger and Omega, like again. So
the only other draw Omega would have got would have been Ultimo Dragon.
That's interesting. All right, Steven, you're up. Well, actually, hold on. I'm all confused. No, yeah, Steven, you are up next. So we go from one, phenomenal guy in Japan to another phenomenal guy in Japan. We've got Prince Devitt taking on Kushida. Prince Devitt, obviously, people know as Finn Balor now. Kushida is switched alliances over to North America as far as wrestling goes. Reason for it, he's up there in age. The fact is, rumor has the fact he wanted to make some money before he retired, and that's why he came over to North America. WWE so far has treated him well, but I mean, two WWE entities going at it right here. So Devitt versus Kushida. Steven, you're up.
Yeah, Kushida, born May 12th, 1983. He's wrestled WWE, New Japan, ROH, Revolution Pro. It's been all over the place. I mean, hustle. I had to look it up. There's a promotion over in Japan called Smash as well, which I didn't know. I mean, he's a 6-time junior IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, 2-time IWGP Junior Tag Team Champion, Super Junior Tag Tournament winner, Super J Cup in 2016, ranked number 20 in the top 500 in PW 500. You got Prince Devitt or Finn Balor, born July 25th, 1981. He's been New Japan, CMLL, obviously WWE. He's been all over the place. He was part of when I started really getting back into New Japan. I was enthralled by someone who could do this in his entrances. I mean, he's a 3-time junior IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champ, 6-time Junior Tag Team Champ, best of the Super Juniors twice, J Sports Crown Openweight 6-man tournament twice, ranked number 3 in the top 500 in 2016, British Cruiserweight Champion 1 time, obviously a 1-time Universal WWE Universal, 2-time Intercontinental, 1-time NXT. To me, it's Finn Balor. He made me fall back in love with New Japan. He was the original leader of the Bullet Club. What he can do in the ring and what he can do even in the heavyweight division as a smaller guy outweighs what Kushida could do. I mean, he hasn't transformed into what I think he will be. And if we were doing this maybe in 2 or 3 years, my vote might be different, but it's going to be for Finn Balor. Yeah, so I got to agree. Fact is, resume-wise, Kushida's resume can't compete with Finn Balor, Prince Devitt. Fact is, when you think about Prince Devitt, he accomplished what he needed to in North America. That's a lot of times you bring a guy over and you take a guy like Kushida, who we haven't probably seen the best of as far as NXT goes. But the fact is, Finn Balor came in, small guy, not necessarily one of those guys that Vince McMahon is going to push to the moon. But the fact is, Finn Balor took it to the moon. You know what I mean? He did it on his own. He basically made people forget about that Prince Devitt character. With Kushida, it's the same Kushida. It's the same guy who's Back to the Future fan, wearing the vest, everything else, the glasses, still playing on that character from New Japan, where Prince Devitt, Finn Balor had completely transformed into a new version of him. Again, resume-wise, Devitt, there's no comparison. I mean, Devitt's done it on the heavyweight level as well as the
junior heavyweight level. And a lot of times when you think of Kushida, you think about the time splitters with Alex Shelley, you think of the tag team division over there. But the fact is, when it comes down to it, you look at Prince Devitt, and he has won. I'm just bringing this up, so I've got it accurate here. The IW Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship 6 times, twice with Minoru, and 4 times with Taguchi. So, and that's tag team wrestling, and everybody knows what he's accomplished on his own. So, I'm gonna go Devitt as well. Sean, thoughts? 3-0.
It's 3-0. Can only imagine what would have happened with that Universal title had he not gotten injured in the first night of getting it. It's unfortunate that didn't happen, and maybe confidence got lost by WWE at that due to the injury and the time coming back. But, he's gone back to NXT, and he's one of those guys, it's okay for him to have gone back, and it kind of helps highlight some of the guys that are there right now, and he can help elevate them instead of just being a utility guy on the main roster. So yeah, Prince Devitt and Finn Balor, same guy, for me is advancing, even if you guys hadn't voted.
All right, so another 3-0. Up next, guys, I've got Kenta taking on Psychosis. Interesting, the fact is the resumes are very much alike. Age-wise, though, I think Kenta is a lot younger. Just looking here, Kenta, 39 years old. Psychosis looks a lot older than that. Yeah, 49, so 10 years apart. The thing is about the two guys, Psychosis is now doing the independent scene, so he's still out there, before obviously COVID took place, but the fact is he's still out there wrestling and this and that. I think my decision with this is the fact is when it comes down to Kenta, he never accomplished what he should have over here in North America, injury-wise. They were ready to push him to the moon, and the fact is he kept getting injured. And they, had no other choice but to basically say, hey, see you later, contract's up. Future endeavors. So he ends up going back to Japan. And one of the last images we see is him sitting on top of Naito, with the double championship. But, who's to say he doesn't get in a match again and ends up getting injured? 39 years old. That is a certain amount of talent out there at 39 years old has maybe a good 10 years left. I think Kenta's probably got maybe 1 or 2 years left, tops. And you look at a guy like Psychosis, the fact is, like I said, the resumes are very similar. Psychosis' main, big thing was, obviously Mexico, but he wrestled for the major companies in Mexico. So National Welterweight Championship 2 times for AAA, Trios Champion for CMML, so not a singles division champion. But 1996 ranked 39, then PWI 107 in 2003, Cruiserweight Champion twice. But the thing is, the difference between Kenta and Psychosis for me is Psychosis was part of that WCW Revolution. He was part of that Cruiserweight division and not one of the, jobber division. He was part of that main division, and his gimmick was amazing. Kenta just never did it for me. So as much as the resumes compare, I got to go with Psychosis. Sean?
Yeah, I was really happy when Kenta got introduced by Triple H to join NXT. I was like, looking forward to seeing what he could do. Just unfortunately injury ridden, and seems to gotten that bug that he couldn't really get traction to get going anywhere. And as you said, Psychosis, one of the main guys in that pack for WCW, which was a highlight to be watching until he got to WWE, and he was driving a lawnmower. But beyond that, yeah, Psychosis picking up vote for me, and we'll find out if it's a clean sweep again.
All right, Steven, you're up.
It is not a clean sweep. I love Kenta over in Pro Wrestling Noah. He's a 3-time Pro Wrestling Noah junior heavyweight champ, 3-time junior heavyweight tag team champ. He's won their heavyweight champ, their tag team champ. He won a 2-day tag tournament. He won a lot over in Japan before he came to WWE. I agree. He never accomplished what he should have here in North America due to injuries, but I've seen him over in Japan. I really hope that he has a good year or two in New Japan. I think it will be very interesting. But I'm voting Kenta just based on what I've seen him do over in Pro Wrestling Noah in their junior heavyweight division.
Yeah, see, I can't argue that, but when I think about him versus Psychosis, I think about what Psychosis accomplished down in Mexico before he hit North America, or before he hit the U.S. as well. So to me, it was a tough call, but I could definitely easily have gone Kenta with that one. Shawn, you were up next, and this would be interesting because you got old versus new. Tiger Mask 4 taking on Dragon Lee. This would be interesting.
Yeah, just go back to the last one, though. I probably would have voted Kenta as well. As I said, I was a fan of his. And I saw a spark of the old Kenta when he made it back to Japan. Maybe he just didn't care enough after all the injuries here in North America. But if he did gotten a little bit more traction back in Japan for this consideration, this could have gone a different way. Tiger Mask 4 versus Dragon Lee. Tiger Mask 4 was born in 1970, debuted in 95, and weighs 292 pounds. He's worked for Michinoku Pro, the NWA.
Did you just say, sorry, did you say 292?
Yes, he did.
Is he disqualified?
No, apparently it's 192. Reading my own rating. Anyways, worked for Michinoku Pro, NWA, New Japan, and Pro Wrestling Noah. Number 21 in PWI 500 in 2005. He's won the British Commonwealth Junior Heavyweight Championship twice, the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship twice, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship 6 times, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles once, won the Best of the Super Junior in 2004 and 5, GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Champion twice, the NTV G Plus Cup Junior Heavyweight Tag Tournament in 2013, and the UWA World Middleweight Champion one time. And we have Dragon Lee, as you said, new, because he was only born in 95 and debuted in 2014. He's 165 pounds, but he's already worked for CMLL, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and AAA. He's been ranked 125 in PWI 500 2018, so just 2 years ago. And he's already picked up the CMLL World Light Heavyweight Championship twice, CMLL Welterweight Championship once, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship once, and the Ring of Honor TV title, which he currently holds. There's a lot of future left for sure in Dragon Lee, and there's just a lot of history for Tiger Mask. I gotta give it to Tiger Mask. Steven?
This was 4 or 5 years from now. Dragon Lee might have a chance. To me, Dragon Lee, I've watched him before the pandemic in ROH, and he's amazing. I've seen him watching him in Japan, amazing. But he just doesn't have the career like Tiger Mask, unfortunately. So I'm going Tiger Mask.
All right, so we got 3-0 for Tiger Mask. There's too much legend and legacy behind Tiger Mask. Dragon Lee, brother of Rush, of course, ROH, and those two guys, the future is well ahead of them as far as ROH and North American wrestling goes. But when you think of Tiger Mask, Shawn had mentioned all of his accomplishments as far as who he won, what titles he won and where he won them and this and that. But the names that he won these championships with as far as tag teams go, the great Sasuke, Grand Hamada, Jushin Thunder Liger, he was affiliated with Koji Kanemoto, affiliated with some of the greatest athletes over there in Japan. And the fact is, when you look at the legacy that he had, and he's up there in age, the fact is, Dragon Lee unfortunately hasn't accomplished that much yet. So give this tournament a shot in about 10 years, maybe it'd be a different story. But the fact is, it's Japanese legend against somebody up and coming. So, like I said, we've got Dragon Lee going over 3-0. Steven, you're up next. Speaking of Japanese legends, the great Sasuke taking on Juventud Guerrera. So Japan versus Mexico.
So this is legend versus legend. So I'm not going to give a lot of backstory because looking at their titles, we could be here all day. So I'm going to start with the great Sasuke. And this could take a while, so just bear with us. British Commonwealth Junior Heavyweight Champion 2-time. Jahushi Junior Heavyweight Champion 3 times. Tag Team Champion 3 times over there. And then you go to New Japan. He's a 1-time Junior Heavyweight Champion. 1-time Tag Team Heavyweight Champion. 1 time he won the J Crown. NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. NWA World Middleweight Championship 1 time. NWA World Welterweight Champion 1 time. UWA World Junior Light Heavyweight Champion 1 time. WWA World Junior Light Heavyweight Champion 1 time. War International Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. One night 8-man tag team tournament winner. Junior Heavyweight Super G Tag League in 96. Ranked 23 of the best 500 in the top 500 in 96 and 97. PWI ranked him number 2 in the best 500 singles wrestlers in 2003. Hold on, let me keep going. He's a UWA, UWF Intercontinental Tag Team Champions 2 times. WWF Light Heavyweight Champion 2 times. WWA World Middleweight Champion 1 time. He has 2 5-star matches in 1994. Take that for what it's worth. Then you've got Juventud. He's a AAA Cruiserweight Champion 1 time. He's a Mexican National Tag Team Champion 3 times. He's a Mexican National Heavyweight Champion, or I think a 8-man 1 time. He's a Canadian Wrestler Elite, Canadian Unified Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. He's an IWA Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. ICW World Heavyweight Champion. ICW Heavyweight Champion. He was ranked 140 in the best 500 singles wrestlers in 2003. 25 of the best 500 in 1998. PWR Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. PACW Cruiserweight Champion 1 time. I don't know if they won it or participated in the America's X Cup in 2004. He's a 1-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, 3-time WCW Cruiserweight Champion, 1-time World Tag Team, WCW World Tag Team Champion, WWA International Cruiserweight Champion 2-time, WWA Light Heavyweight Champion 2-time, WWA Welterweight Champion 1 time, WWA Tag Team Champion 1 time. God, this goes on forever with these guys. WWA Trios Champion 1 time with Psychosis. WWC World Junior Heavyweight Champion 1 time. WWE Cruiserweight Champion 2 time. This is a coin flip between the two of them just because they are pretty equal. I'm going Juventud just because he was part of that upper elite Cruiserweight division, but I have no idea. This is like legend versus legend in Cruiserweight light heavyweights. Chris?
Sorry, distracted. Who did you go with?
I went with Juventud.
You went with Juventud, okay. Sorry, my wife came out, grabbed a shoe, and then headed back towards the bedroom. So that was kind of sidetracked. I'll have to figure that out after we finish this round. But anyways, so still sidetracked. But you mentioned all the honest to God, is legend versus legend. That being said, sorry, wife's out in the kitchen again. That being said, fact is, when it comes down to it, I had to go with Sasuke. Simply because of the fact Juventud, to me, when he lost his mask in WCW, he lost a little bit of his legend status. And then all of a sudden you had that WWE run, and it was horrific, so to speak, and he never gained back the sort of momentum. Anyway, so I've got to go Sasuke. Shawn, if you want to go a little bit long-winded for a good minute or two, just to lighten things up. But we are 1-1 right now. Sasuke and Juventud, and Shawn, you are the tiebreaker. I am going to take off the headset just for a sec, but I will be back momentarily.
Yeah, no problem. Just listening to all those accomplishments, I tried looking at it myself and just comparing both of them, and it was mind-blowing where all they've been and how many times they've been champions. But just for me, I believe the Great Sasuke had come over to WWE and was even part of that Cruiserweight Championship tournament, which Taka Michinoku had won, if I look back on that one. But yeah, Juventud Guerrero was one of the standouts of that core that always competed on Monday Night Nitro, WCW Thunder. They were the ones that started off the pay-per-views, and you knew that was the fire to get them started and wanting to hype up the crowd. And great matches with Juvi and Rey Mysterio. Unfortunately, the lawnmower incident with the Mexi Cools. They were just talking about that on Something to Wrestle With on the episode that I'm listening to right now. And they seem to be okay with it and the whole heritage of their country and stuff like that, but they couldn't do it now. In 2020, people would definitely call the race card on that one. I am going with Juvi to advance, so it's a 2-1 victory for him. The juice is loose, and we'll hope that Chris is back.
All right, so I heard silence, so I'm assuming, Shawn, who did you go with?
I just went with Juvi, so it was a 2-1 victory.
So one Japanese legend gone. That is unfortunate. So, fill everybody in. A hornet apparently came into the bedroom. That's why my wife came out and got the shoe. So, bug spray's in the bedroom, and she didn't see it. She came out to get the shoe instead. So,
as long as it wasn't a murder hornet.
I don't know if they exist. Knock on wood, but I think if this is the year that those stupid things are going to exist, it's going to be this year. Anyways, moving on, because we have officially 2 matches left in first round. So Taiji Ishimori taking on Hiromu Takahashi, which is basic irony right now, because of the fact is, when you look at the New Japan current scene in 2020, you've got these two guys about to battle out. So you've got one guy from the Bullet Club, one guy from LIJ. You got Takahashi, who is, I believe, 30 years old, taking on Ishimori, who is 37, I believe. Very comparable resumes in the sense that they've both worked for New Japan. Difference is CMLL, Takahashi has worked for. AAA has been where Ishimori has worked for. Difference is, though, Pro Wrestling Noah takes into effect as far as Ishimori goes, where Hiromu doesn't have that. But again, Hiromu's only 30 years old. I think the future's ahead of him. I think he's, in that sense, if he can stay healthy. Now he's had some injuries and everything else, but the fact is, when it comes down to it, Hiromu, CMLL World Lightweight Championship 1 time, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship 3 times. He is the current champion. PWI ranked him number 27 back in 2018, so not that long ago. Ishimori, he was best wrestled at Lucha Libre World Cup Award in 2017, former Impact X Division champion, former Junior Heavyweight champion, former Junior Heavyweight Tag Team champion 1 time with El Fantasmo, who's Canadian ELP, and then PWI ranked him number 104 back in the PWI 500 back in 2018. But then you get the, like I said, the Pro Wrestling Noah, so the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship 3 times, the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion 6 times. One of those with Kenta, and a lot of other guys that probably we'll never mention on the show. But comes down to it, Hiromu Takahashi, if I knew he was going to be able to stay uninjured, it'd be a different story. But for what he's accomplished so far, I think he's one of those guys that's going to be injury prone. and that's unfortunate for him. So I think when it comes down to it, because of the fact we've seen Ishimori, we have seen the shape that he's in for 37 years old, and we've seen the championships that he's won in Japan as well as North America, I've got to go with Ishimori. So, Shawn, you're up.
Yeah, once again, checking resumes between these two, there's still room for Takahashi to grow, but as you pointed out, he could be injury prone. I am going to go with Ishimori as well, and we'll see if it's a sweep.
It is not a sweep. I'm a huge Tanahashi fan.
Takahashi, you mean?
Takahashi, sorry. They all start to...
There's a huge difference between Takahashi and young Takahashi and old Takahashi, as well as Tanahashi, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going with. I'm getting a little loopy here.
So let me ask you this: why'd you go with Hiromu?
He's got that IWGP 3 times, the junior heavyweight. He's currently the champion. I know he can be a little injury prone, but I'm going just based on what I've seen. A similar resume. It's basically who I'd prefer to watch right now. I mean, there's been some of these matchups who, like the last one, it comes down to kind of who you would rather watch, and to me, that's who it is.
All right, so last match of the first round, and we didn't do too bad because I think we're only about half an hour over time limit for where we usually are as far as the 16-man tournaments go. So,
well, we're at an hour and a half, so this is where we normally are. So this isn't bad.
No, as far as the whole tournament goes, but usually we're at that 58, 59 minute mark when the first round ends for the 16-man tournaments.
I gotta grab water. I'll be right back.
Steven's going to grab some non-hate juice there. Shawn, you're up first as far as the last match of the first round goes, and this is interesting because you've got two guys that basically I don't think ever reached their full potential as far as the junior heavyweights, the cruiserweights divisions went. But you've got Chavo Guerrero Jr. taking on the late Brian Pillman. Interesting to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, so Chavo Jr. was born in 1970, so he's coming up to his 50th birthday this year. Debuted in 94, weighs 225 pounds. He's worked for WWE, WCW, TNA, Lucha Underground, New Japan, WWC, and Glow. Because if people are watching Glow on Netflix, he's actually appeared in it a few times. And I think he's been actually working behind the scenes with the ladies and helping them learn for the show. He's been the Imperial Wrestling Revolution heavyweight champion one time, Lucha Underground Gift of Gods champion once, TNA Tag Team champion 2 times, WCW Cruiserweight champion 2 times, WCW Tag Team champion 1 time, WWC Caribbean Heavyweight champion 1 time, ECW champion 1 time, the WWE version of ECW, WWE Cruiserweight champion 4 times, and WWE Tag Team champion 2 times with his Uncle Eddie. Then you look over at Brian Pillman, born in 1962, died in 97. He weighed 226 pounds, so there's very closeness in them. They're only a pound difference. Debuted in 86, and that was after having a football career very briefly in the CFL and playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. But then he got discovered by Stu Hart and worked in Stampede, where he learned how to wrestle. Then he worked in NWA, WCW, so Jim Crockett Promotions as it was transferring over to Ted Turner. He worked for ECW, went back to WCW, went back to ECW, went to WWF, and he's part of the Stampede Hall of Fame. Now, when you look at his titles, he was WCW Light Heavyweight Champion 2 times, WCW Tag Team Champion 1 time, and the NWA Tag Team Champion 1 time. Both were with Steve Austin, and they got so much momentum that, unfortunately, they got cut out from under them, and they end up splitting and feuding with each other. You saw him become a Horseman, the loose cannon that happened with him. He was an NWA U.S. Tag Team Champion. I believe that was with Tom Zank. WCW Light Heavyweight Championship tournament winner, and he won the Stampede Tag Team titles a couple times with Bruce Hart. As you mentioned, guys who really didn't probably excel as much as they should have in the cruiserweight class compared to what they did overall in their careers. But I have to go with Chavo because he was almost that middle ground between the jobbers and the top guys. You know, he would beat the jobbers like Super Callow and El Dandy and all that. And then, unfortunately, he'd fall victim to guys like Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho. He had Pepe the Horse with him in WWE. I got to go with Chavo on this compared to Brian Pillman. Brian might have started off as cruiserweight, but I considered him, as things progressed, as more of just a regular mid-card guy in your U.S. title IC rankings, more so than a cruiserweight. So I'm picking Chavo.
Interesting. Steven?
I'm actually going Brian Pillman. The matches with Jushin Thunder Liger are incredible. If anyone listening to this has never seen any of their cruiserweight, light heavyweight matches in early WCW, could still been Jim Crockett promotion at the time. I'm not really sure where it's incredible. If he doesn't get in that car or the motorcycle or car accident or whatever and messes up his leg, he is insane. I'm going Pillman. You just can't compete with what he could do in the ring. I mean, Chavo and him both. Chavo's an amazing cruiserweight as well, but Pillman could do things and innovated. If there was no Brian Pillman, no Jushin Thunder Liger, you would have never seen the cruiserweights in WCW.
So I just put up a backdrop of who's advancing in this match here. The late Brian Pillman Jr. is going to move on against Chavo Guerrero. And Steven put it best. The fact is...
Try that again?
I said, as Steven put it best...
No, go back.
Oh, I said Pillman's going over Chavo.
You said the late Brian Pillman Jr.
Oh shoot, sorry, not the late. So Brian Pillman Jr. still exists. Brian, sorry, see that's the legacy of his memory being passed on to his son, obviously. But when I think about cruiserweights, junior heavyweights, light heavyweights, Brian Pillman Jr., Jushin Thunder Liger is what did it for me, and this was way back in the early '90s. So. You know, and Sean, you remember this, when I first met you, I was 15 years old going to Montcalm. There was nights, Sunday nights, I couldn't sleep. So all of a sudden I'd stay up, and there was a WCW NWA thing that used to be on every midnight on Sunday or something like that. And I'd be watching it, and all of a sudden it'd be showing Jushin Thunder Liger and Brian Pillman and all of this sort of stuff. But as Steven was saying, February 29th, 1992, Super Brawl 2 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Brian Pillman defeats Jushin Thunder Liger to win his second championship. So Brian Pillman had won the title for the first time. The inaugural champion defeated Richard Morton. That was October 27, 1991. Liger wins it on Christmas Day at a house show in 1991. And then Pillman beats him February 29, 1992. You want to guess who beat Brian Pillman to win that championship? Scotty Flamingo. There's a name. Google that one, folks. But anyways, we are going to take a short commercial here before we run down the second round. Thanks to our friends over at Knights of the Squared Circle. So sit back for about 30-35 seconds here.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Do you want the latest info on shows and the stars that appear throughout Ontario? Are you looking for information and insight into the independent wrestling scene? Want interviews and information on the big leagues? Then you want Knights of the Squared Circle with Ryan Knight on Coyote 103. Ryan has his finger on the pulse of wrestling in Ontario on every level, and he brings that to you every Sunday at noon. Listen for your wrestling fix with Ryan Knight and Knights of the Squared Circle, Sunday at noon, only on Coyote 103.
And we lost Shawn. Steven took a break, and we somehow lost Shawn. Oh, there he is. He is back. And I was just about to make reference to something here, but I'm just going to bring up the share screen for the second round of the tournament here. And there, I've got it up. I'll bring Shawn back to the screen. Shawn!
Hello.
I don't know if I can put you back in order. We may have a different order for the second round.
I start anyway, so it doesn't make a difference.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can do this. Gone. There we go. Okay, now we're back in order. But anyways, Shawn, we just showed a commercial for Knights of the Squared Circle with Ryan Knight. I know when Steven and I were doing episode 28 of TNT, it was like, okay, well, we're Shawn free tonight. And next thing you know, 27 messages later, as you're supposed to be spending time with your wife. The reason I bring that up, though, is because unfortunately, I didn't see the last couple messages that you had sent. And one of the messages that you had sent was saying that you were going to be on Coyote 103 as Ryan's guest. Unfortunately,
It'll be this Sunday.
Oh, it's coming up this Sunday, so it hasn't aired yet.
Yeah, it was supposed to be this past Sunday a couple days ago, but it got bumped because he did a best of show. So
okay.
It'll be this Sunday on Coyote 103 and Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from.
And then just a preview. What do you guys talk about on the show this coming Sunday?
Well, we plugged TNT. We plugged this show, the Fantasy Warfare Tournament. We talked a lot about the T-shirts and Steven's wrestling journey. And, yeah, just a quick, I think, 10, 15-minute clip basically promoting everything we do and the connection with our show and his show.
Nice. Yeah, Ryan's a very knowledgeable guy, very passionate. You can tell as well when he does his shows and his interviews and everything else. But welcome to be part of this show or TNT anytime he wants to be. So, second round coming up. Steven, you're up first. But here's the rundown. Rey Mysterio Jr. taking on Dean Malenko. Ultimo Dragon taking on Paraguayo Sr. AJ Styles taking on Will Ospreay. Jeez, talk about fantasy match right there. Chris Sabin taking on Eddie Guerrero. Another fantasy match right there. Jay Lethal, Jushin Thunder Liger. We've got Prince Devitt, Psychosis. Tiger Mask 4 taking on Juventud Guerrera. And then last match of the round, Taiji Ishimori taking on the one and only Brian Pillman. So, Steven, you're up first in this round. We've got Rey Mysterio taking on the one and only Dean Malenko. And we've seen some classics between these two real life.
This one, I went with Dean Malenko. I'm a huge Dean Malenko mark, so he's getting my vote.
So that's short and sweet, quick and easy.
Well, I don't know if they're doing more stats or just so.
No, I mean if there's reasons for it, like we've actually seen this match time and time again, right? As far as WCW goes,
100 times, I swear.
I think Malenko might have been retired by the time Mysterio had hit WWE. Because I know it was around 2003, 2004-ish, I think, when Mysterio came in. I know Chavo was still wrestling, because I think Chavo was one of his first feuds. But I don't remember. I think Malenko might have been retired at that point. But regardless, WWE Network, YouTube guys, go and watch their matches back in WCW between Malenko and Mysterio. Absolutely phenomenal. That group of guys back then was like unreal, and they sold me on the product. To the point that we're doing a Cruiserweight tournament right now in 2020, and that was way back 96, 97. But when it comes down to it, like I said, I'm a mark for certain guys as far as the Cruiserweights go, and Rey Mysterio is one of those guys. So between the two, I love Malenko, but Mysterio gets my vote. So Shawn, you're tie-breaking the first one.
Yeah, I'll just between the two, I am going to go with Rey Mysterio. I enjoyed Dean Malenko when Jericho had his feud with him, and the Man of 1,000 moves, and Jericho came up with his list of 1,004 moves. But just what's going on with Rey, still competing all these years later, I believe he first appeared in WCW in the Worlds Collide pay-per-view that they did, and then he went to ECW first before going to WCW. But for him still going today, I'm going with Rey Mysterio.
All right, so Mysterio wins it 2-1. You want to talk about somebody going still today, and I'm not going to mention any words, but here's my vote for the second match right there. That's all I got to do is hold up that mask in front of me. For those listening on audio, that was Ultimo Dragon's mask, whose second round is facing Paraguayo Sr. The fact is, Ultimo Dragon, again, Mark, his third round is going to be an absolute toughie for me. Paraguayo Sr. can't take away the legacy of the guy who performed for 45 years. The fact is, when it comes down to it, the fact is Ultimo Dragon all the way. So, Shawn?
It will be a WCW Cruiserweight Championship rematch between Rey and Ultimo Dragon in this third round. Paraguayo had a lot of titles, great long reigns, but and let's be honest, do we want Rey in the ring with another Paraguayo?
I can't believe you went there.
You just go there. And it wasn't me this time, so I'm...
No, this is becoming a big thing. First it was Destiny Wrestling a couple of weeks ago, and now all of a sudden, that was on TNT, by the way, and now this. So we'll leave it at that before Shawn goes...
salty at times.
Yeah, well, Shawn's been drinking the White Claw. I don't think he was drinking anything with the Destiny show, though. And Steven's drinking the water tonight. He doesn't get his hate juice on, so maybe he just saves that for Thursdays.
Special.
Oh, it's a Thursday special, okay. All right, Steven, you're up. Paraguayo Sr. versus Rey Mysterio.
First, Rey Mysterio, are you drunk? Against Ultimo Dragon, and it's clearly going to be a 3-0 Ultimo Dragon win.
All right, so coming up next, and this is probably one of the toughest as far as old versus new. When I say old, you're talking AJ Styles, but he's not that old, but he's been around forever. Taking on somebody who's only 27 years old who could legitimately be the next AJ Styles. And especially the careers that they're, you have one guy who started out with the UK, another guy who started out in Georgia, making their names up through the independent scenes. All of a sudden, you've got the Japan aspect of it now, and now you've got Will Ospreay about to hit that heavyweight division whenever COVID decides to not exist. But Shawn, AJ Styles, Will Ospreay.
Yeah, well, just their legacies. There's so much more for Ospreay to accomplish. I'm going with Styles for sure. Still going today. Hopefully going to be lifting up that IC title to better status than what it's had over the last while. Going with the AJ.
Steven, interested?
I'm actually torn on this one. I've got one of my favorite junior heavyweights in the past and one in currently. I'm going to go AJ just based on resume. In 3 or 4 years, we could be talking completely different, but I got to go AJ Styles.
All right, so tell you this, it's interesting because I thought I'd go Ospreay, but the fact is, you mentioned the fact who the current Intercontinental Champion is. You mentioned the fact that AJ Styles hasn't lost a step, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And I say that without actually meaning to say that, but the fact is, AJ looks like you could put them in a fantasy warfare match tomorrow, and AJ would still basically kick the crap out of Ospreay. Ospreay would give it to him, no problem at all. And if you want to see what Ospreay is all about, go back and watch Wrestle Kingdom. Him and I think it was Kota Ibushi, and they destroyed each other in the ring. But Ospreay is one of those guys. Give him 10 years, give him 15 years when he's at the age of Styles. And somebody said June 2nd, 1977. So he's 43 years old, and AJ's out there.
Actually, a year younger than you.
Yeah, so AJ's actually, Intercontinental Champion right now at 43 years old. I will never be anything close to that athletic, given even 10 years ago. But the fact is, Ospreay, I love the guy to death, but the fact is, against AJ Styles, it's like one of those things where you have one guy here, and the one guy up here is the older version of that guy, and that's what I think AJ is compared to Ospreay. But I don't know if that analogy made any sense. But the fact is, yeah, AJ 3, Steven's shaking his head no. But long story short, Ospreay loses, AJ moves on 3-0. Next match is very interesting. Steven, you were up. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Sabin.
This was not that hard of a decision. You've got Eddie Guerrero, who was one of the top cruiserweights at the time for, at least if I'm thinking my memory serves me, 3 years off and on. He was one of the top cruiserweights in the world. Chris Sabin, love watching him. Love what he did in New Japan, ROH, Impact, but you can't. It's Eddie Guerrero.
So, Sean, you will be the tiebreaker in this one. Chris Sabin advances. When it comes down to it, Eddie obviously didn't live as long as he should have. The fact is, when he passed away, he was heavyweight champion material. Chris Sabin, to me, as much as I love the guy, really never sold the heavyweight championship for Impact Wrestling. It was kind of just, he was there and we needed a champion, so Impact gave it to him. And when I think Chris Sabin, it's always going to be around, surrounding himself with guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Alex Shelley, so to speak. When I think of Eddie Guerrero, yes, as much as he was part of that cruiserweight division, the fact is, when I remember him, it was beating Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? It was that Eddie Guerrero that's always going to be etched in my mind. So I hate to say it. Well, I can't say I hate to say it, but the fact is, it was a toughie for me. But the fact is, I had to go the other way. So Chris Sabin, Sean, Chris Sabin, Eddie Guerrero, who advances?
For me, it's no brainer. It is Eddie Guerrero. Anytime you think about Eddie with the cruiserweights, they keep on showing that Halloween Havoc match against Rey Mysterio, where Rey's wearing all purple, and that was a huge match with them. And for him to make the transition from being just a cruiserweight, basically in WCW, to being more than a cruiserweight in WWE, I gotta give it to Eddie.
All right, fair enough. So Eddie advances. Next match of the tournament, we got Jay Lethal taking on Jushin Thunder Liger. Thunder Liger advances. For me, Sean, you're up.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find somebody who's going to beat Liger in this tournament. There are a couple of possibilities, but they'll be very tight possibilities if they make it to the finals against each other. His resume speaks volumes for what we are comparing for this tournament for tonight. And yeah, compared to Jay Lethal, it's Liger.
Yeah, the irony is apparently there's something going on online, I think on Reddit or something like that. It's coincidence enough that when Liger finally retired, the world went to shit. So it's
yeah, I saw that one.
So and it was one of those things. Maybe Liger has to come back, and all of a sudden COVID will disappear, and no more flying hornets, or what would you call them, murder hornets, and the locusts, and all that sort of shit.
Yeah, and aliens are on standby.
Aliens are on standby. And Steven, do we even have to ask?
Don't get me wrong, I love Jay Lethal, but you're facing Jushin
Bad draw.
Yeah, it's Liger. It's a 3-0. That was in this tournament. There is literally maybe 2 people that have a shot, and none of them are on this side of the draw. So good luck on this side.
All right, Sean, maybe your next match is a little bit tougher for you. Psychosis taking on Prince Devitt.
For me, no. I think this one's kind of easy, just looking at the 2, and also considering what the next round would be for round 3. I am picking Finn Balor, Prince Devitt to advance. Just he's all rounded compared to Psychosis.
All right, Steven, Psychosis, Prince Devitt.
This one's actually closer, just based on Psychosis's pass, but I'm going Prince Devitt to move on.
All right, guys. So we have a 3-0, and like I said, based on earlier, the fact is, Devitt, one of those transitional guys that when he went to North America was absolutely phenomenal. He won the NXT championship, but you look at it back when he was back in Japan, and the fact is what he did over there, and like I said, the World Junior Tag Team Championships with Taguchi. The fact is, it was absolutely phenomenal to see him do what he did over there in Japan. So Devitt with a 3-0. We go to Steven next. Tiger Mask 4 taking a Juventud Guerrera. This will be interesting. I think, Steven, I know where you're voting, but myself and Shawn, we'll have to wait and see.
This is another tough one. I mean, this could be a coin flip. I went Juventud Guerrera. I think too strong of a resume. He made it big over here on the North American side, but I went Juventud. Just a legend in this weight class.
All right, Shawn, if you can see the picture behind me there, that's definitely not Juventud Guerrera. That is Tiger Mask 4. So that is my pick. Might be the last time we see him this tournament, but it'll be up to you. So you are the tiebreaker. I went Tiger Mask 4 simply because of the legacy, the longevity, the names he was affiliated with, and plus the fact he is still wrestling today. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, with these two, they both made their mark in two different countries, and just looking at them both, I'm going to go with Tiger Mask, just because the longevity and how long he held the titles for. There's a lot. He's up in the top echelon of number of days holding one of the titles that I saw when I was doing the research for him. And yeah, Juventud has the legacy, but I don't see him have held the titles long because he had to also spread it out amongst the guys like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, instead of holding on to it for longevity.
All right, so there we go, guys. We've got Tiger Mask 4 moving on to face, in my mind anyways, and we'll have to see if I get a vote on this one, but Taiji Ishimori is moving on against Brian Pillman. When it comes down to it, 37 years old, Ishimori. The fact is he's still wrestling. He's about to compete again for the World Junior, the Junior Heavyweight title over there in Japan for New Japan. Pillman, like I said, he had those legacy matches against Jushin Thunder Liger, and I guarantee you can put those matches up against anything today, and the fact is they will compete and they will compare, and even more so with Liger and Pillman back in their eras, back in their primes. It's absolutely phenomenal. Downside is Pillman, I mean, beyond those matches, I think he passed away in 97, 98, I want to say.
97 October.
So you're talking 5 years after he had those matches with Liger, and all of a sudden the guy ends up passing away, you know what I mean? But there was a huge transition after that. So yes, those matches would be etched in stone, but the fact is then you had the Hollywood Blondes, then you had the ECW, then you all of a sudden you had the WWE version of him, you know, with the Hart Foundation, everything else, the Hart family. So Ishimori is still going strong. The amount of accomplishments he has, he's only 37 years old, not looking to give it up anytime soon. Like I said, we just saw him lay out Takahashi, so it'll be interesting. So Shawn, interested to see who you're going to pick, Pillman or Ishimori?
For the exact same reasons why you just basically said. Ishimori is more associated with being a cruiserweight and the light heavyweight division, as opposed to Pillman, who started off phenomenally in it. Can never take that away from him, but he did advance weight-wise and got away from that division, basically, and Ishimori is moving on for me.
So is it 3-0 or 2-1, Steven?
2-1. I had Pillman. Pillman was one of the innovators in this division. I think if he's not who he was back then, I don't know if things evolve like they are now. I understand, but I went Pillman.
So very interesting. So next round is set. We'll come back to that momentarily here after some words from Shawn at that.
Hey wrestling fans, it's Shawn from the Scumbags of Wrestling. Have you checked out our latest t-shirt design? It's inspired by our friends over at London Comic Con. Nigel Lewis of NCL Studios came up with this amazing design of a comic book cover. It features 22 stars of the Ontario independent wrestling scene, including Cody Deaner, Jody Threat, Casey Spinelli, Tyson Dukes, Brent Banks, Tarek, Sebastian Suave, Halal Beefcake, graduates of the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory, and many more. You can get your t-shirt for just $30 or buy the poster for $15. Proceeds from this sale are going to go to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto on behalf of Steven's wrestling journey. Steven's an 8-year-old fighting Chiari malformation, and they're searching for a cure. You can contact me either through our Facebook page, Scumbags of Wrestling, or email me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com. Get yourself a great t-shirt with an amazing design and help a wonderful cause at the same time. So contact me today and get your shirt or poster.
Hey guys, so welcome back. So double airtime there for Shawn as far as his commercial goes for his t-shirt for the Scumbags of Wrestling. But more importantly is this right here, hashtag Steven's Wrestling Journey. Steven, you can find him on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I believe as well, and especially YouTube. Shawn, how about an update? I know, like you said, you were on Ryan Knight's Knights of the Squared Circle podcast is going to show up this coming Sunday on Coyote 103. But with regards to Steven's Wrestling Journey, the t-shirt sales, the poster sales, how's everything going with that?
Yeah, well, considering we're in a area where we're not actually going to shows, and the best advertising has been going through our podcast, this show, and just word of mouth and social media, we're almost at $500 to donate to sick kids. A few more t-shirts and posters sold, and we'll be right there at the $500 mark, and that's where I want to definitely put it, our first donation, and obviously keep it going. And then once things somewhat go back to people being able to be in the same vicinity as each other, I hope to be able to sell more, because once people see the great quality of this picture, the t-shirts, they're going to want to have them for themselves.
Yeah, so guys, t-shirts phenomenal, posters stands right out, I think 11 by 17, right?
Yeah, 11 by 17.
You can pick up a really cool frame for about $10 at Michael's. Mine's been framed, and the t-shirt hangs prominently in my closet there, but the fact is I'll put them on tomorrow night on TNT just to show everybody as well. Like I said, hashtag Steven's Wrestling Journey. You can reach Shawn, Scumbags of Wrestling, so facebook.com/groups /Scumbags of Wrestling. Steven's part of that group, I'm part of that group. The strive for 500 still on. Shawn, what is the best way to get in touch with you as far as email goes though?
Yeah, definitely email me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com and figure out what you want and get it to you. Depending on how far away you are, I'm good with driving and dropping it off in person to you instead of waiting for it in the mail. But that's what I was doing this past weekend, 2 weekends ago when I saw Ryan Knight. I also saw Aaron Sisson. So Sarnia, Stratford, St. Thomas for Jordan James. If it's in drivable, I'll bring it to you.
Yeah, and as well, Clarence Newsom of Midwestern Wrestling has rocked the shirt, as well as our own very London, Ontario girl there, Shiloh, who check out her Instagram, and you'll see a couple pictures of her rocking the shirt and promoting the Scumbags as well. But like I said, more tomorrow night. We'll talk about this on TNT, episode number 29. As far as the tournament goes tonight, though, we got some tough matches coming up. So Rey Mysterio Jr. taking on Ultimo Dragon. AJ Styles taking on Eddie Guerrero, Jushin Thunder Liger taking on Prince Devitt, and last but not least, Tiger Mask 4 taking on Taiji Ishimori. So, God, I mean, this is going to be an amazing Final Four. It's interesting to see who's coming down to Final Two. I forget where we left off there. I don't think it's my pick first, is it?
You started with Ishimori.
So it's whose pick is it now?
I believe it should be mine. So we got Rey Mysterio against Ultimo Dragon. I'm pretty sure, well, maybe not sure totally where Chris's vote's going to go on this one. But, I've seen them both live, seen Dragon up close and personal. Rey's still going. Probably doesn't limp around like he just got a chair for 10 hours when he's just walking around normally right now. And he's still going. He's going to have a second generation with Dominic, provided that is actually his son, not Eddie's son. Yeah, I'm going Rey Mysterio.
Steven, interesting.
I'm going with who I'd put either as 1 or 1A of the greatest cruiserweights, light heavyweights, pick whatever title you want to put it, Ultimo Dragon. Way too many champions, chip, belts. He's got them from all over the world. Rey Mysterio went to a heavyweight. Ultimo Dragon is by far either 1 or 1A of the greatest cruiserweight, light heavyweight, whatever you want, welterweight, whatever you want to call it, junior heavyweight. He is one of the best. So I'm going Ultimo Dragon.
So one of the biggest toss-ups I think I've had as far as all of these tournaments that we've ever had. But I will say this. There's a reason why I have this mask. I own 2 of these, not the same ones. I got one from Ultimo Dragon there in person that he signed. That one there came specifically from Mexico. Knowing that I was going to the Northern Tournament there in Toronto, I was hoping to have that silver mask to be able for Ultimo to be able to sign. I didn't have it. Luckily, he had masks there at the show, which I got another one, which was the the Mexican colors, so red and then white and then green. When it comes right down to it, Rey Mysterio, love the guy to death. I have magazines devoted to him that I have not ever touched, not ever opened the pages of, that I'm, eventually hopefully gonna get signed by him someday. Never had the chance to see Rey Mysterio, as far as I know, live, and that is on my bucket list. But the fact is, when it comes down to it, Ultimo Dragon has stayed true to his division. And that's what it comes down to. Mysterio, the longevity aspect of it, and Dragon's still there too. But the fact is, when it comes down to it, Mysterio is fighting guys like Seth Rollins. He was winning the championship because Eddie passed away, where Ultimo was still Ultimo Dragon in that junior heavyweight division, cruiserweight division. And that picture, like I said, with Sonny Ono of all those belts means that a lot of different promotions had trusted him. So I hate to say it, but Ultimo Dragon beats Rey Mysterio in this one. So a surprise to me because I wasn't sure. Steven kind of sold me on it when he mentioned the fact that it's still Ultimo Dragon and he would still remain in his division. You know what I mean? So Ultimo Dragon moves on. So Steven, you're up next. We've got, just going to submit this score. Another toughie. AJ Styles, Eddie Guerrero.
I went AJ Styles. I mean, they both moved on to being heavyweights, but AJ Styles defined and put a division on his back in the X division. I mean, so Eddie did it with, I think, a better surrounding cast, and he moved on pretty quick. I mean, AJ Styles was part of the X division basically through his whole TNA career until the very last little bit. This is also a dream match for me. I would have loved to see in Prime versus Prime, Ultimo Dragon versus AJ Styles, because I could just imagine how much I'd love it. So I'm going AJ Styles. I mean, this could be coin flip, but I'm going AJ.
So Shawn, your vote unfortunately will not matter. I go AJ Styles as well. Simply for everything that he accomplished back in Impact Wrestling and the X Division. And, AJ, I had the honor of meeting probably about 15 years ago. Not much bigger than me, actually, as far as height goes. But when you see him in the ring, as far as the guys he has faced and the guys he's put over, and you know the moveset that he has, and still the fact is he's 43 years old, still continuously performing. Current Intercontinental Champion, as I'm watching Dominic right now go nuts on Seth Rollins on Raw. But anyways, legacy, I got to go AJ Styles with this one over Eddie. And I mean, Eddie was phenomenal back in the day, but AJ Styles is still going strong. So and Shawn had said it earlier on the show, the fact is he's putting that IC title back on the map, so which is great to see. So Shawn, would you go on Eddie or AJ with this one?
This was probably one of the harder ones of the tournament, or definitely this round for sure. I was going to go to AJ Styles as well. Just unfortunately, Eddie's legacy got cut way too short. Could have had so much more. I think just like we talked about with Owen Hart, with the Greatest Champions and stuff like that, or what we were talking about him in the Greatest Kings episode. Had he survived longer, imagine all the people he could have gone against that we do not have those matchups for. And Eddie's one of those guys as well. But AJ just, has too much going for him.
So I am up next with probably one of the tougher opponents for Jushin Thunder Liger, and that is Prince Devitt. But the fact is, it's still it's the running point of this show, Jushin Thunder Liger. But it's interesting to see whether or not his time is numbered now when we're getting down to these nitty gritty finalists. But I got to go Jushin Thunder Liger just because of the fact of the legacy, and the guy just officially retired this year. And the fact is, Shawn had said it earlier, WWE Hall of Fame was supposed to be this year, and then when you watched him in the G1. Forget the actual name, the Super Show, I think they called it, at Madison Square Garden last year between ROH and New Japan. The fact is the guy can still go. So I got to go Jushin Thunder Liger over Prince Devitt. Shawn, you're up.
Yeah, this was going to be probably the toughest one for Liger in this bracket, this side of the breakdown. But, Liger still has it over Balor. Prince Devitt, just too much history and legacy worldwide compared.
So all right, Steven, 2-1 or 3-0?
3-0. Too much history, too much. Prince Devitt became Finn Balor, so left that division weight class. It's Jushin Thunder Liger.
All right, Shawn, you get final match of the round here. Tiger Mask 4 taking on Taiji Ishimori.
Well, Ishimori is still going strong. Has a lot more space to add on to his legacy. Tiger Mask has a huge legacy to begin with. All the titles, the length of title reigns. I'm throwing it to Tiger Mask.
All right, Steven?
And just because I want to be difficult and I want to see where your vote will go, I'm going Ishimori.
So we go 2-1 Tiger Mask because, again, you talk about Japanese legends, and Tiger Mask is one of them. And it's tough. And this next round is going to be super tough because you've got Tiger Mask 4 taking on the world-renowned Jushin Thunder Liger in the final four. So, guys, I won't take a commercial or anything like that because we're getting really, really close down to the end here, but I will share the screen. It will be interesting, I think, to see. I think I know where one of them is going, but the first one I'm not entirely sure of, and that's this here. So we've got Ultimo Dragon taking on AJ Styles, with I think is going to be a toss-up, and then you've got obviously Jushin Thunder Liger taking on Tiger Mask 4. So the interesting note, 32-man tournament, names from all over the place, and Ultimo Dragon, yes, has a very heavy tie-in down in Mexico. But the fact is, you've got 3 Japanese legends right here, and then you've got the one and only AJ Styles. Major difference as well is here. Jushin Thunder Liger is retired. Tiger Mask 4 on the verge of retirement. Ultimo Dragon is still kicking around, but the fact is he's not doing main shows or anything like that anymore. And then you got AJ Styles, who this coming Friday night will be able to see defend the Intercontinental Championship or be part of just that show, you know what I mean? So You've got current kind of versus past, but like I said, AJ Styles is 43 years old, so very interesting to see where this goes. So I think, Shawn, you were the first in that last round. So Steven, you are officially up. We've got, like I said, Ultimo Dragon, AJ Styles.
This wasn't even tough for me. I love AJ Styles, but Ultimo Dragon, like I said, is 1 and 1A. Ultimo Dragon, too many belts, too much history. AJ Styles, yes, was part of the X division, but he moved on to the world, like a heavyweight division. Ultimo Dragon stayed true to being a light heavyweight, cruiserweight, whatever you want to call it, that division his whole career. I'm going Ultimo Dragon.
So, Shawn, should we reverse the order just so you feel like you're part of it?
No, go ahead.
All right, so I got to go Ultimo Dragon. There's a reason why I marked out for my birthday last year, and I was getting to see Ultimo Dragon my birthday weekend. I mean, it was one of those moments. It just is gonna always be probably top 5. I think on my profile on TNT, so Thursday Night Throwdown, the website there, I think that is my greatest independent highlight. My greatest independent thing I've ever been part of was getting to see him, getting to meet him. But very pleasurable, very personable, and I've got probably 5 different autographs from that weekend I got to meet him. So Ultimo's moving on. As much as AJ Styles is a legend, Ultimo's a bigger legend. So, Shawn, interested to see where you're going, AJ or Ultimo?
3-0. Yep, 3-0 for that one. As you said, legacy, a lot of titles, possession, and AJ's still going. He might have another couple of years left in him to see what else he can collect, but yeah, I'm going Dragon.
So, last match of the semifinals, and this is we're getting down. So Ultimo Dragon advances to the finals there, but last match of the semis, we've got the one and only Jushin Thunder Liger taking on Tiger Mask 4. I've already clicked my box for Jushin Thunder Liger. Too much legacy, too much history, and when I say that, I mean it's worldwide. I mean, the fact is he can compete North America, Japan, anywhere that he basically went. And to think about it this way, the fact is he finally retired 2020. One of his greatest moments was MSG of last year for North American wrestling fans. But the fact is, when you think about his feud with Brian Pillman, that was way back in the early 90s. So that is a lot of history, a lot of legacy, and he's one of a kind. You will never see a guy like him replicated. Very few guys can say they're on that same level with them. Ultimo Dragon's definitely one of them. And I'm interested to see if we go Ultimo versus Jushin Thunder Liger in the finals. But like I said, Liger gets my vote. So Shawn, you're up first. Shawn, you're up next.
Yeah. Well, I'm going Liger as well. Balor was probably the only one that had a shot at Liger on this side of the bracket, and so it's going to be Liger versus Dragon. Steven?
It's Liger. My finale I had written out was Ultimo versus Liger. I think they're 1 and 1A. Pick and choose what day of the week it is. This will be. Can we have a draw? Because this, I don't even know. I honestly don't know who to pick in the finals.
All right, so there we go. And I won't bring up bracket because we just talked about the 2 guys that were in the finals. So we got Jushin Thunder Liger, a 3-0, taking on Ultimo Dragon with a 3-0. So that is your finals for the Cruiserweight show. Very interesting. I'm glad I don't have to go first. I could be the tiebreaker, but it all depends on Shawn's vote. But it kind of, Steven says 1A, 1B, and all of a sudden he gets his Fantasy Warfare matchup as far as the finals go. So, but I'm still kind of curious where you're going to go with it. Shawn, you're up first.
Yeah, this is definitely a tough one. Dragon, Styles or Ray were probably the only ones that had a chance I could see on this side of the bracket to go against Liger. And, of course, they were 3 of the final 4 on that side. This is a definite tough one. You just look at all the titles between the 2, and The only thing that Dragon is actually missing, and not that a lot of weight should be put on it, but he doesn't have a WWE Hall of Fame. Liger, for the very little he did with WWE, 2 matches, one in 1990 and one in 2015 on the NXT show. He's obviously been recognized as one of the best in the world to be put in there with just that little bit of activity for WWE, and that's acknowledging everything he did worldwide and career-wide. Like, he probably would have been in there even if he hadn't have done those 2 matches. And that's just paying respect to his legacy. So I'm going to go with Liger.
All right, Steven, you're up.
Do I go with Ultimate Dragon, who is one of the greatest, or do I go with Jushin Thunder Liger, who made me believe cruiserweights could compete? I'm going to go with the winner, Jushin Thunder Liger. He's an 11-time junior IWGP heavyweight champion. He's just got too much. I mean, so does Dragon. I mean, you could flip a coin 100 times and it would be 50-50 between these two. It literally came down to I have respect for both of them. I just think Liger is like this much, and it has nothing to do with the WWE. We already know where your vote was going, but I would love to hear your reasoning.
Very simple. I'll put it this way. I respect Jushin Thunder Liger, but I'm a mark for Ultimo Dragon. And I can't explain it other than that. I tell you this, I think it was when the SmackDown games were out for PlayStation 2 and Ultimo Dragon was on TV. And it was like, I forget I think 2000 and I want to say 5 or 6, something like that. I think he was part of the WWE. Fact is, when he was part of it, when that video game came out, I played the shit out of it. And my tag team champions were Rey Mysterio and Ultimo Dragon. And I went through the series with those 2 guys. I've been a mark for Dragon probably way back in the WCW days. And it's the gimmicks. It's the guys with the face paint, like the Great Muta, stuff like that. Guys with the mask, but not necessarily all guys with masks. Like Jushin Thunder Liger, I loved and respected, but the fact is, I was never a mark for him. Muta, I was, though. Ultimo Dragon, I am. Rey Mysterio, I am. But I understand when it comes down to it, I'm outvoted. Jushin Thunder Liger advances. He is the winner of the Greatest Cruiserweights. And like I said, go check him out on YouTube, WB Network. Check out his resume as far as Wikipedia goes. And like I said, some of his matches with Brian Pillman were some of the greatest out there that could stand with some of the matches today. So definitely interesting tournament. We are at 2 hours and 17 minutes. So not too bad. We didn't go an hour over time, but we're looking at I think it's that first round where it's I shouldn't say the toughest, but the most informative, because the fact is that's where we give all your stats and Wikipedia entries and the amount of championships they've won. And the cool thing for me, I didn't realize Perro Aguayo Sr. had wrestled for 45 freaking years. Or was it? It was him, right? It wasn't Villano. It was Perro.
Both had long times. Viano had 40 years, I think.
Yeah, so anyway, guys, it's been a great tournament. Like I said, 32 men. We won't be doing this all the time, but it was nice to do tonight. Like I said, just scheduling everything else had taken place, but we finally got it done. So Jushin Thunder Liger is your winner. It'd be interesting if we could ever put together all the winners from the tournaments and just have like the greatest ever, or the greatest fantasy warfare tournament winner ever. But how do you do that? because how do you put a guy like Jushin Thunder Liger up against who won the greatest big man? Is it Undertaker?
Yeah.
See, there's a fantasy match in itself.
Then you got Bear Country, who won our first episode. I would love to do it, but it'd be very, very tough.
Yeah, it's I think one of those ones we'd have to probably go to a vote online or something like that. But it's been great. Like I said, it's first 32-man tournament that we've done. But we've got, and we're still on par, still on plans to do the next one, right? So Steven, why don't you talk about that? Because you you don't have a website to promote, so we'll get to promote the next one coming up.
I have this. If you follow Thursday Night Throwdown or this, I'm a huge tag team fan. So we started talking about after we did the Greatest World Champions. I threw out the idea of the world's greatest tag team heavyweight champions, because from all over the world, all different eras, there are some amazing tag teams. I can't even remember all of them, but you've got the Midnight Express, you've got the Rock and Roll Express, you've got LOD, you've got the North, you've got, help me out, Money Inc., I think, you've got the Hart Foundation.
Midnight Rockers.
Yeah, you've got people from tag teams from all over the spectrum. Quite interested to see how this plays out.
You've got I've got the list in front of me here. The Crusher and Dick the Bruiser. You've got Red Dragon, the Gorillas of Destiny. You've got the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, down to Mr. Fuji and Professor Tanaka. Teams like the Colossal Connection, which were thrown in there, War Machine, Motor City Machine Guns, the British Bulldogs, LAX Santana and OTs, Roppongi 3K, Los Guerreros. So, I mean, it's a huge amount of tag teams from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, you know what I mean? It's definitely going to be interesting because, and I don't know, have I produced the lineup for that yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the brackets are set. So it's been a while since I looked into it.
Because one of the matches includes the world's greatest tag team taking on the Young Bucks.
Which, I mean, it's going to be interesting. The fact is, 64-man tournament starts. We're going to do it next week, right? The official.
Yes.
So yeah. So we Sean, go ahead.
Dudley Boys against FTR.
Yeah, like this is it's going to be. I've got goosebumps because I am a huge tag team fan, and I am excited to get your guys' opinion on these tag teams.
And see, this one also is a lot different than the one that we did already involving tag teams, because it was only 16 teams that we did, and it was only from the 80s, and most of them were North American. This is all generations, going back to the Briscoe brothers, the Funks, all the way up to FTR, the Nasty Boys, the Usos, New Day, current and old, all going in there. New Age Outlaws. There's no boundaries.
Yeah, no boundaries, but there were a little bit of rules. One of them being that the fact is you had to pick one incarnation of a guy. So, for example, you couldn't take what's good for instance?
Shawn Michaels. You can have him in the Midnight Rockers and then the Dudes with Attitude.
Yeah. So stuff like that, So, but again,
I pick the Midnight Express. It either had to be Eaton and Condrey or Eaton and Lane.
Yeah, and that's the second time, because the 80s tag team one that you had done was Eaton and Lane as well. So
I prefer Eaton and Lane. I like that combination.
Well, and we mentioned also the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, but the Brainbusters had been chosen before that, so it had to be a version of the Wrecking Crew without Arn, as it.
Yeah, so I think it's Gene, Ole, and I forget the third guy's name. I want to say Kelly, but I'm not sure if that's right. But we'll go through it when the tournament starts. But again, guys, it's a 64-man tournament, so you'll see it take place in 4 weeks, and then the finals on TNT Thursday Night Throwdown live, taking place the following night. But it'll be north, south, east, west brackets again, starting next Wednesday, 6 p.m. here on YouTube. So, guys, thank you very much for doing this show. Again, Juice and Thunder Liger not advances, but is your actual winner of the Cruiserweight tournament. This is a long-winded 2.5-hour show that took place, but
though I am going to propose one thing. We talked about at the beginning of this show, the guys who were left off. There's probably enough to do another 32-man tournament with the leftovers that were.
Hold on, are you talking cruiserweights?
Cruiserweights.
You just want to see friggin' El Dandy in the tournament.
I think we could do another one, which you have your Chris Jerichos, your Johnny Garganos, and others that were not in here that could have easily replaced a Hurricane Helms or a Low Key.
How about Enzo Amore?
Fuck off.
He is in that weight class, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, we can definitely do another 32 because there are a lot.
Do the winner of that versus Juice and Thunder?
Yeah, it's still going to be Juice and Thunder. He beat fucking Ultimate Dragon.
I know. I already know who's going to win that, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so anyways, guys, it's been great. We'll see you all again next Wednesday for the first episode of the greatest tag teams in the world. And then tomorrow night, TNT, Thursday Night Throwdown. Sean, are you going to be with us this week?
Not sure how soon, but if I am, I will be joining, not just commenting.
All right, that's good because every time I looked, it was lighting up, and it was like, oh, Sean with a new message, Sean with a new message, Sean with a new message. So it was like, still like you're co-hosting the show, so we'll have to wait and see if you're on tomorrow night. But from Steven of the Scumbags, Sean of the Scumbags, of course, and myself, Chris Maloney of CWN Online, as well as TNT Thursday Night Throwdown, it's been great. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night, and we'll see you, everybody, next week. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Have a good one.